Welcome to episode 133 of Both Down, the number one Blood Bowl podcast.
From Springfield, USA.
Springfield, where the Simpsons are. I'm Scott Prime, and he's Steve Kilowoggy Campbell.
That works. Okay. How's it going, Scott?
It's going good. It's better today than it was a couple days ago.
Okay. Because of the event.
Yeah, I'll explain
okay.
more as we go on.
Yeah.
How you been doing, buddy?
Well, I mean, I've been doing life stuff, so that'll come up. I've been doing pretty well. Played in a league game. So my last 3 league games, I'm just going to throw those out and start real fast. I went up 2-0 and then tied 2-2. And then I was down 2-0 and tied 2-2. And then this last game, I ended up winning 4-1. So
nice.
I've been scoring a lot, but
so you're on a roll,
I guess.
So does every Amazon have blogs now?
No, all the important pieces do, all the catchers and throwers, but everyone else is just random.
That's gonna be real annoying.
But I messed up and I have a sneaky get right now on one of my catchers.
Oh yeah, I tried to, because you got a hold of me, and so if anybody in tour play right now knows, like, I swear we could edit skills if somebody picked the wrong one.
Yeah, well, I thought maybe you are the commissioner or the admin, so that's why I couldn't do it.
Okay, well, I think I can. I think the problem is with how it is on our phone. So this person was supposed to have sidestep, correct?
Yeah.
Number 3. I'm doing it as we speak because that's how cool Both Down is.
Behind the scenes of Both Downs.
There you go. It's fixed.
Okay, cool.
I was thinking, like, I knew I did this before. Kenny accidentally, he thought he was backing out of a screen and he hit like accept.
Yeah.
Like the accept to get out. So he took a really weird skill that he would never take for a human team, something like multi-block or something.
Yeah. Anyways. I mean, so I'm playing Amazons. Things are going well. We had like 10 knockouts last game and no casualties, so that's always good when you're playing Amazons. He was human.
So how do you like a safe pair of hands, or did you just get that?
Never come into play. This is like the third game. It's never come into play. And the more I look at, because every time I level, my current theory is I want the passers to take passing skills and catchers to take catching skills and pass more to try to see how passing is now done in the new meta. And I'm just not caring, I guess. There's nothing there that's overly powerful like I have to have. But it's not bad for those positions.
I got you.
I don't know. Results inconclusive.
See, I had a league over this last month. Oh, by the way, folks, if you're listening to this and thinking, golly, we didn't get an episode last month, and that is true because this episode's coming out Saturday with the release of the Warhammer, like you can order. What's the thing called? The Horus Heresy box set that comes out, and we're going to actually talk and review that, the best we can, since we're a Blood Bowl podcast, at the end of all of this. So, like,
the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box.
We were planning on having the podcast just days before we headed up to Springfield, but then like family stuff on both sides kind of conflicted. So here we are talking about the after, and now we're doing this little chatty stuff at the beginning, but I'm just letting you know there'll be another episode this month as well. So don't just sit back, relax. You're just going to get 2 instead of 1 last month. So
yeah.
With kids, I'm starting to find out like May is like super oppressive month with all these into school activities and stuff. But anyways, so I had 2 league games. I got crushed and yet still tied the game with against the Chaos Dwarves, probably the best team in our league. And then I had to play some goblins afterwards. And luckily, goblins did what goblins most of the time do, which is implode on themselves. And so I lucked through. I had like, I think four, three, four, five journeymen for that game. So it was a rough day, as the Chaos Dwarves did casualty like six of my guys in our game, our earlier game. So, anyways, league game's going fairly well though. I mean, like if you look at the standings real quick, and then we'll get to our segments here. I'm somehow still in first place, but I have a loss and a draw and 6 wins. So that just means the Chaos Dwarf team is 5 wins and three draws. So
Yeah.
that's where the difference is. And then Drew, who I still say is going to win the whole league, just based off of how good players really are. He's in third place, and you're in. There's actually 3 of y'all tied for third. It's you, Drew Buccioni, and Matt Strickland. So, anyways,
Yeah, I'm not completely against my chances at winning because Amazons are good, and if things go well, I can do well. But if I go up against the Chaos Dwarves, it's not going to be pretty.
yeah, you got them this month too. So, yeah, it's not. I don't know what to tell you on that. So,
Rock paper scissors, man. Like I'm guessing if they redo Amazons, which I guess the rumor is that's the next one. Who knows? Um, I don't think they're going to be as dependent on dodge. I feel like
no,
dodge is not going to be on all the line people. They'll give them something else.
let's put a pin in that conversation
Okay.
because it's something that me and Joe Smith talked about a little bit up in
Okay.
Springfield,
Yeah.
and I don't really want to like waste it here, but I do want to waste it or use it in the next episode. So
Yeah.
just kind of like remember this when we record again in 10 days or so. We're going to talk about Amazons and Teams of Legend and stuff. So just put a pin in that.
I'll forget by then. I'll make a note.
Okay, you do that. All right, folks. So what we're going to talk about today is we're going to talk about the Springfield trip. It was 2 tournaments in 2 days, and we'll come back and we'll just kind of break everything down and go through the matchups and everything for that. And then we'll do shout outs, and then we'll come back and talk about the new Warhammer box set, the Horus Heresy.
We're going to do that after shoutouts.
I mean, shouldn't we? You want to do it
No?
before?
Yeah, before, as always. People can
Okay.
jump to shoutouts if they want. We put the notes on the
Okay.
website, the times on the website, so.
Fine. We're forcing you to listen to Horus Heresy. It is really pretty, though.
You don't
So,
have
anyways.
to, but whatever. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, we are back, and we're going to be talking about there's not an overall name for it, is there? The 2 tournaments in Missouri.
I call it the weekend in Springfield.
Springfield Weekend.
No, there's not an overarching name, but there was 2 tournaments in Springfield. This is at the end of May here on the 28th and 29th. It was first one was Chimera Cup,
Mm-hmm.
which if people remember years and years ago, 3-day block and both down came together, and we had a tournament halfway where we tried the team format of tournaments, and then like it didn't happen, and then COVID happened, and here we are years and years later, and the guys from Springfield have taken it over, which is
Yeah,
great.
absolutely. One less tournament that we have to run that we can go to.
So Chimera Cup was a team event. You didn't have to have a team. You could show up and they would find you a team if you didn't have one. But for some people, Michael Lewis and 2 of his buddies from the Memphis area, they came as a team.
I didn't know that he brought people with him.
Yeah,
Oh.
he did.
So, yeah, that means that Steve didn't go.
Right.
So,
So
yeah, Steve had
some.
family stuff came up. So, like, I was getting ready to go, and then it's like the last minute of, oh, I guess I'm going to Texas. So I ended up going to Texas for a while.
Yeah,
But that was fine. I mean, I missed out on the tournament. It sucks, but
that's all right.
it
You got
happens.
to help your brother out and everything. So, but Steve didn't let us know. We didn't know this until what was it, late Wednesday night?
Yeah, somewhere around
And
there.
so immediately I started talking to Joe Smith and stuff, and he mentioned that he had some people on standby in case they need teammates. And I asked him if William Toops was available. And William Toops, the #1 lizard man coach in the U.S., and Steve was playing lizards, so I thought, why not grab the #1 Lizard coach. Let's make an upgrade here if Steve can't play, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and
I mean, you're like the number two, but he's number
I
one.
don't think I
And
am, but I had one tournament at Chaos Cup where I was
no,
impressing people by dodging.
I know I'm joking with you.
I know.
So we asked him to be on the team, and he actually said, I found it humorous. He goes, "You're only asking me, so you don't have to play me." And I was like, "You're exactly right, my good sir." And we laughed about that. And then he called me. He's like, "You're a clever girl," and we started joking around and stuff. Anyways, long story short, we decided to join our team. He did not play lizards.
And who was
He
your
does.
third?
What's that?
Who was your third on your team?
And Matt Strickland, who was the original person who asked me and Steve to be on his team.
Yeah.
Quickly, within 24 hours, or really about 12 hours, William became the team captain. We went from being like, I think her name was called like All Bash, No Cash, or something like that, to we are the Thick Bears. So by the time I get to Springfield, we are called the Thick Bears because we're thick boys, I guess. And we just let William be the team captain. He brought an undead roster, and I supplied the undead team as that's what he wanted to play and try.
Yeah.
I guess he's trying to branch out and play some new teams now that he's set his goal with the Lizardmen.
Which is
And
kind of weird because you want to go over the build, or when you going to do that?
yeah, I'll go over that here in a second.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to get us to that
Yeah. No,
point.
I
So,
understand.
Matt was taking orcs. He favors orcs a lot because it's one of the teams he has painted. He doesn't have many teams painted, but anyways, he was playing orcs. I was taking dwarfs with Griff. Yeah, I know the roster that everybody hates, and of course, we'll see what Scott does with that. But it was twofold. I wanted to play back before I noticed everybody else playing Griff with dwarves. I noticed like you could afford to get Griff on the dwarf team, and I thought that's really cool. I'd like to do that one time. And then everybody does it, and it's amazing. And Griff's amazing, but I still wanted to do it, even though I felt like I was going against. I don't know. I'm just not the guy who likes to play like the flavor of the week type stuff. I never was that way. And like
Yeah.
Hero Clicks, like if there was an amazing piece, I would just like forget it. I'm going to find a way to beat this amazing piece.
Oh,
But
I get it. And unfortunately, me going all in on Norse, I got the same feeling because everyone else is going into Norse now.
right, but that's just because they're new and everybody's excited.
Of
So
course.
Um, two reasons. I wanted to actually play with the team that Brian Hill, that his wife gave me when Brian passed away. So I wanted to play with those models and get those in at some point. And I thought, what better way to use his models, his team name, and all his little player names from our old league, and to just have Griff on there as well. Um, I wanted to get this Griff dwarf thing out of the way because I don't have any proof of this, but Griff is everywhere, so I'm scared that they might change the price of him,
Yeah.
and then it won't be as easy to get him on the team. The builds for this for Chimera Cup was 1.2 million, and then you had 200 in skills, so you could get a lot of stuff. Like nobody was going like, "Oh, I wish I had 20k more so I could get this," because they had everything they would ever want.
Yeah. And see, that's what I thought was weird because I was going to take Lizardmen because you can take a whole Lizardman roster and Zolcath.
Yeah,
And I
I,
was down to do that.
no, I totally get it. I mean, this was a good time if you wanted to break out a star player or two, or try something crazy with your builds. This
Hmm.
was the tournament to do it at. I personally still don't like that many skills because sometimes it's hard to keep track of.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, had a few people at the tournament that refused to put bands on their miniatures, and when you asked if you could put a band on their miniature, they didn't want to do that. And I get their point of view, like they just painted the team.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying it made it a little bit harder for this old guy with limited brain capacity to remember everything.
Hmm.
With that said, my friend Gary, he heard about the tournament. He heard me and you were going, so he decided he wanted to go. And he said, "I'm thinking about playing dwarves." And Gary, our whole life, even though he bought second edition and he's the reason we're here today, he's never played dwarves. And he's like, I was thinking about playing dwarves. And I was like, oh, I'm taking dwarves and Griff. And he's like, oh, I'd love to do that. Because he took Griff with humans and he didn't know that Griff could go with dwarves.
Yeah.
And so here we are, both of us taking mirror teams, except our skills. We didn't talk about skills. Um, he talked Jennifer into playing on his team.
Okay.
So my girlfriend's going, and my podcast wife is supposed to be going, and I don't play with either of you because your stuff happened, and now Jennifer's locked in on this other team, and so I just had to, I got William Toops, who's a thick bear like me, and Matt. Nick Cofield joined up with the team. He reached out to me and said, hey, if you and Steve need a third, I'd like to be on your team. And I was like, well, we don't need a third, but I know some people who do. So anyways, Jennifer had a team with Gary and stuff. So I thought that was pretty cool. And that's the first time in like 3 or 4 years that she's went out and played. So she made up a team with 4 ogres. 3 of them had block because they had limited skills, like how many of one skill you could have. One of them had brawler. One had leader as well. 2 snotlings had sneaky git, and then she could afford deep root and zug on her team.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, beefy for sure. So she was going for casualties and stuff. All right, so we travel up to Springfield. Am I missing anything here? Feels weird telling like a one-sided.
I know it doesn't happen often.
So interject where you may, Steve.
Yeah.
We left Friday mid-morning. We just took our time to get up there. We actually stopped and ate, and it was just me and Jennifer in the car. We just kind of wanted a day to ourselves. We got to Springfield and went to a comic shop and looked through all the comics and had fun there. We ate that night, and then we got the hotel and stuff. So all fine and dandy, all pretty good. We ended up. We didn't want her to share a room with anybody, but we ended up, it was cheaper because Jennifer wanted a more pricier hotel than I would have picked. It was cheaper to get a suite with 2 bedrooms than it was to get a single one. So Gary and his buddy Robert, my buddy too, Robert traveled with Gary. So we ended up sharing a suite with them, and we had our own room and everything, own bathroom and all that stuff. So anyways, Friday night, after we all ran around separately and stuff, we played one game of Camp Grizzly, which was fun. But of course, the game murdered us, like always. And then let's see, we went to bed. Next morning, got up, had breakfast, got over to the thing. I was really happy that they started these things. It was only 3-round tournaments, and they started at 8:30, which is great because when they start at like noon, then you feel like your whole day's wasted because most likely you stayed up late and you slept in late, and then you feel like your whole day's doing nothing but Blood Bowl.
And it's kind of a waste of a morning too because you're just waiting to do the game.
Right. So I was very happy that it was hosted at Meta Games in Springfield, Missouri. We started right at 8 o'clock. There was 6 teams, so there was 18 people there.
That's nice.
Yeah. I guess it was bad timing for Ryan Smith wasn't there. A lot of the other locals weren't there. It's just bad timing on everybody's part.
Yeah, there was something going on that weekend because all the hotel rooms were booked.
Well, I mean, yeah, somebody said Matt thought there was like a car show or something in town. When me and Jennifer pulled up to the hotel, I'm not kidding, there was like 20 to 25 adults that like my age adults, like older adults that looked like they were dressed for the prom. Like they were waiting for a bus to go on a prom or something. It was weird.
Huh.
So I don't know what was going on Memorial Day weekend, but something was going on.
I keep forgetting it's Memorial Day. Everyone just
it was
travels.
Memorial Day weekend.
God, my trip to Texas. Speaking of Memorial Day, I had to go to Dallas, which is 2.5, maybe 3 hours at most.
Right.
Took me about 4 or 4.5 hours. I literally was stopped 3 times on the highway because of traffic. And it was nothing. It was just merging into lanes for construction. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Our trip to Springfield took about 45 minutes to an hour longer than normal, even though we did stop, just because traffic was so heavy. So everybody really was getting out for Memorial Day weekend. That's for sure. And,
so in the future, weekends Maybe that's why Chaos Cup doesn't do Labor Day. Like it's
Well,
nice having
we
that
impre-
extra day off, but it is crappy for traveling.
well, let me tell you something. It allowed us to stay for day 2
That's true. Yeah.
because otherwise we would have had to leave, Sunday morning.
Hmm.
But anyways, round 1, my team, the Thick Bears, we played Michael Lewis's team, the War Dogs, and they all had jerseys, and of course Michael was happier than Captain Crunch on cocaine, like normal. And I played against. So the first round when we met up, it was just random. So I got to play. There was a Scott on his team, so
Yeah.
I got to play Memphis Scott, and he had a Necro team. Of course, I had dwarves with Griff. My skills, just if anybody cares, I had 2 linemen with Mighty Blow, 2 with guard. I had a leader block runner, a wrestle runner, a guard blitzer, a tackle blitzer, and then a stand firm troll slayer. The other lineman is naked because you were supposed to have a lineman piece that was going to be your chimera. And before every round, you got to roll on this random chart, and you got a skill on this one guy who gets like mutated. And for every round, he gets an extra skill. My first one was break tackle. My opponent,
It's
who had a
not.
zombie
It's not
chimera,
really a
was also
mutation. It's just
well.
an extra skill. Okay.
It was skills.
Okay.
I mean, there's some mutations on there. I guess I shouldn't say that. In my brain, this character, because it's chimera, with the goat, the
Yeah.
lion, the snake. I figured that's what it is. Like you're turning into like a little monster. That's
Okay.
how I fluffed it up. I could be wrong. I got break tackle. He got break tackle. I think somebody else got like pro or leader. I mean, those skills were available. So there was some really good ones out there. We played in a blizzard, which was amazing, because go for it's now are 1s and 2s. And I really think, at least for the first half, I misplayed Griff big time. Because I put myself in a situation that even though I could score on the last play of the drive, I had to go for it, which is a bad. I mean, you shouldn't do that with a character that can move 7,
Yeah.
and you're playing with dwarves. So,
And it's a blizzard.
and it's a blizzard on top of all that. So I think I positioned a little bit wrong there. I mean, I can't complain because I scored at the end of the half. It was up 1-0. Second half, I did everything I thought I could do. Griff really kind of crapped the bed though. Griff had, I think, 4 or 5 chances to. All he had to do was make his couple dodges or a dodge, and he could get to the ball carrier and just smash him.
Yeah.
And every time Griff would roll a 1 or a 2 and fall down. And it just was back-to-back turns like that. And then I still set him up where on the last play of the game, he had to go for it twice to get into the end zone. So, I mean, I did as good as I can with all that. But, that's what happens. And we ended up having a tie 1-1. Overall, our team got beat because I think the other 2 guys lost. I know Michael Lewis beat William Toops, and I think Matt lost as well. So we, as a team, we're 0-1. Round 2, we faced off against, I believe it was just a team. I think, I'm not even sure on this. I don't know if they were like had some player added to them, or I can't. I really don't know. I really paid attention to only my game at this
Right.
point.
Of course.
I played against a dwarf team with Griff, not Gary, but a different team. And
So
so,
a mirror match almost.
yeah, it pretty much was. I mean, like he had 3 guard, he had block on his runners. So, Griff got to sit on the sidelines and we got to have a dwarf match. Yay.
Because it is Highlander rule.
Because of Highlander.
Okay.
My Chimera got jump up this turn. So, yay. Break tackle, jump up.
That's one of those moments where I might just talk to the opponent and be like, "Hey, you want to just take a draw? Like we don't have to play. We'll just go like 2-2."
He said it right off the bat. He's like, is it gonna be 1-1 or 0-0?
Yeah.
I said, well, I kind of hope I win, but yeah, that's probably what we're gonna have.
Yeah.
And I kicked off to him. He hit me first. I believe I can't totally remember
Yeah.
on this day, but I think he knocked out one of my guys. So I think I was down a player a couple plays in on the first half. And then he scored on turn 8. Oh, I remember. I guess I was positioning well because at one point, about turn 6, I said, okay, I'm done for my turn. And I looked across the field and there was I didn't have a tackle zone on a lineman.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh crap. And I thought, no, you're okay, Scott, because most people will not take a chance throwing to a lineman. And this guy, I guess, felt like I was playing tough enough that he had to do something. He did his blocks and stuff. He goes, okay. He's like, this is either going to look like the smartest move ever or the dumbest move ever.
Yeah.
And he walked across the field and he threw a pass to that lineman. And I mean, he rolled 5s and 6s,
Jeez.
caught the ball, and then rumbled down the field with the lineman. I caught up to him, but it wasn't enough. I mean, I couldn't tackle him. So
Right.
he went up 1-0. But on the kickoff, I casualtied one of his players. And from that moment on, like momentum totally switched. Then he kicked off to me. And by the time I scored, I had 4 of his players casualtied off the field.
Dang.
And in the first game, I casualtied 4 players too. I think 3 of them regen though, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So like I never had my opponent down in that necro match because they kept regenning.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I had 8 casualties going into round 3. I tied the game 1-1. His name was Jake. I want to say Seeley was his name.
Okay.
Up from Nebraska. I believe he came with the Nebraska crowd that drove down. Nice guy. We had a good matchup and stuff. And so, anyways, me and Jake had I guess as good a match and most predictable matches you can have with dwarves, but I was happy to get some casualties in that because I figured getting 4 in the first matchup, getting 4 in the second matchup, like I have a chance for most casualties by the end of the day.
Did you have any idea who
my
had
next
it?
matchup. What's that?
Did you have any idea who was leading?
No, not at all. I mean, I knew Jennifer had 6 or 7 at the time, but I didn't even. I don't know. I just tried to be a player. I didn't go bother them and ask them on casualties and stuff like that.
Right.
So, I tied my match. I believe one of our 2 guys, I think it was Matt, maybe won, and William tied. So we won the team matchup. Long story short, in round 2. So we're 1-1 as a team. Round 3, we have lunch. We go eat some lunch. We just go grab a small burger at Wendy's, and then we go get some Andy's frozen custard because it's yummy.
Okay. I was gonna say Wendy's. Of all the places, you went to Wendy's.
Well, we were just going to do ice cream for dinner or for lunch. And we was like, I probably need a little bit of protein, even if it's bad protein. So we went and all had like a small cheeseburger and a drink and then had a giant ice cream.
That's fair.
We're adults. Came back round 3. We were facing Gary's team. They were called the Mooks for like Missouri, MO, and then OKC.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was kind of like Okies,
Yeah.
whatever. So we faced off against them. Gary was facing off, I believe, against Matt Strickland, and then Jennifer had to play William Toops, and I had to play Nick Cofield, who I thought was playing Underworld. Then I found out he was playing Goblins. And I know, I have dwarves, he has goblins. Oh, it should be an easy match. I was like, oh my God, I don't want to play this match. And he's like, why? And I was like, because you're chaos. And if your chaos works well, you're going to beat me. And then everybody's going to go, how the hell did you lose with Griff and dwarves, to goblins?
I mean, I feel like you're the only one who ever thinks that. And it usually pans out for you because you don't have a good record against goblins, really, it seems.
I just don't. Anyways. It was really cool though. Nick painted up the old Brian Hill miniature that we did.
Yeah.
The little drummer guy, the Norse drummer. And he had him painted up. And it was also an inducement because there's a war drum inducement that I'm sure I knew about, but I couldn't remember. And you roll and then you can push people back that many squares. Like it vibrates them backwards. So he would do that and then he would throw a bomb into that little cluster of people. So that was entertaining. Let's see. He got the kickoff, which was bad. I really think I win the game if I get to, get the kickoff. But in this case, he won the kickoff. So here we go. Goblins versus dwarves. And just play after play after play, he starts peeling people off the pitch.
God.
And they're all through fouls. They're through chainsaws.
Right.
They're through, ball and chain. They are through throwing a bomb to the guy that, has hands and can catch the ball and does catch the ball. But since he can't throw it back, it blows up in a square because a troll slayer is too big of an idiot to throw a bomb off of him.
God.
More on that later. Anyways, for real, I had by the second half, I can't remember now. All I know is I was getting beat up, but I was staying. I kept Griff in the back. Every play, I told myself, "Don't lose your shit, Scott. Don't lose your shit.
Right.
It's okay. They're goblins. Eventually, they're gonna do goblin stuff, which is bad." And slowly,
You would think so, anyways.
and very slowly, I started taking a few guys off the pitch, which is, good. Um. So, anyways, I position myself where he kind of says like, I'm gonna take a chance here, and he throws the swoop goblin, and it glides right over my guy's head, and luckily he cannot land. So at that point, I pick the ball up with Griff, and Griff does what Griff does, and he goes down and scores. Then second half happens. I might be getting these halves mixed up. That might be second half for all I can't remember. It's such a blur. At one point, I only had 6 guys on the field in the second half.
Yeah.
For real. Dwarves, 6 guys. All from like hitting people, chainsaw, ball and chain. I did get the ball back. I did score on the very, very last play with some go for it's with Griff. So I ended up winning 2-0. Everybody thinks I just beat his face in, but it really wasn't like that. It was actually a really close game that he beat the hell out of me with casualty. He said all day, he's like, I've had like 5-6 casualties a game, but they're all from my secret weapons or from fouling. And I had 2 casualties. So at this point, I only got 2 against goblins of all people. And I'm thinking, well, if I don't know how much of a chance I have for getting the most casualties at this point. William Tubes wins, I win, and Gary, I think, destroys Matt. I think Griff just beats the Griff out of him or something like that. And but we still win as a team. So like we're all pretty happy. And they were like, you think we're gonna get like a trophy? And I was like, well, there's only 6 teams here, so it's gonna come down to some weird tiebreakers.
Yeah.
And at the end of it all, Michael's team got first.
Well, that's good.
I hate to say this, I cannot remember who got second. It might have been some Springfield guys, but I can't remember. And I'm sorry, I asked Brendan to send me some stats and stuff before we record, and he said he would, but I know he's probably busy with his family too. So maybe I'll have an update on this next podcast in 10 to 2 weeks. But we ended up getting third. I ended up getting most casualties, and I outright had it. It didn't trickle down to me, so I was very happy.
That's awesome.
So Jennifer had 9 casualties. I had 10. So Jennifer ended up getting like fan favorite, which is like their best sports award or whatever. So yeah, me and Jennifer took home some awards from Saturday. I won a 7s pitch in the drawing.
What kind?
They had some,
like the GW one or
the GW one actually.
Oh, that's cool.
I was like, this is something I would never buy, and I'll take it because I don't have it. So
yeah.
I forgot they even made one, to be honest, but they had some cool items, for raffle. They even had like some gift cards to the store because Michael Lewis, of course, took those. And they had a painted like Nurgle team, I believe it was, like a circus theme thing.
Yeah.
That they also was raffling off. I bought some tickets for that. And then we in the night, and me and Jennifer do our own thing. Robert and Gary go do their own thing. Michael and his guys do their own thing. So everybody did their own thing. Um, Sleep, get up the next day. I'm the only one playing out of everybody in my hotel room. So I go and meet Michael Lewis and his boys and Matt Strickland. We ate at the Big Biscuit there in Springfield, had some breakfast and talked and hung out. And then we drove over to the Sunday event, which was Mystery Bowl 2, which had a circus type theme. I believe Mystery Bowl 1 was like a Scooby Doo type theme.
Yeah, it was.
This circus thing, they had some circus star players, like a trapeze artist, stuff like that, a
Yeah.
juggler, things like that. The build for this, if I remember correctly, was 1.14, and then you got 160 in skills. I'll call up my roster now so I can be sure on this. Yeah, 160 in skills, and then so you had 1.14 to build your team. As people might know, I posted this. I was going to take corn because it's only a 3-game tournament, and I wanted to get this. I wanted to rip this band-aid off as quickly as possible. And so I played. I put up a bunch of teams, and really, I should only put the teams I really want to play up there and have people vote because they voted for the team I didn't want to play at all,
I mean, that's
which was
logical, of course.
the they voted for the team with the blood spawn, 4 blood seekers, 3 corn gores, and then 4 linemen and 2 rerolls.
Yeah.
Probably exactly what I should have played, having the extra rerolls, because with corn you need a ton of rerolls. Sunday was a disaster, Steve.
I was keeping track and watching you, and yeah, I think Joe mentioned this. You'll probably get into it, but we've talked before about your luck at some tournaments, and it's not an exaggeration.
I mean, well, let's just go through it. Round 1. This is not a team event. Um, I walked in
How many people were there for day 2?
16.
Oh,
There was 16 people. There was
so
different people.
people
I mean,
came. Huh.
there was like maybe 6 different people that showed up to this event because Aaron Franklin and Perrin was there.
Yeah.
Barrett was there. There was different people there, so we had some come and go for sure. So I walked into the store that morning like, Scott, don't expect anything. I even told Gary the night before. I was like, if I go 1-1-1 with corn, I'm going to be celebrating in the streets. And he's like, you think they're that bad? And I was like, they're going to be bad for me. A lot of frenzy, blah, blah, blah. Low armor. And round 1, I faced against Jake Sheely again, who had dwarves and Griff. So I win the kickoff, and I said, heck yeah, I'm going to take the ball. And then he positions his guard pieces behind the guys on the line. So therefore, if I don't knock his guys down, I push myself in, I frenzy myself into a 2 die. He gets to pick block.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm not going to buy into this. I got this Bloodseeker over here that I can go hit one of those guard pieces off. And then I can start at least hitting his dwarves somewhat. The best you can, corn versus dwarves. Opening thing, I go out there to blitz, roll double skulls. Try to use my pro. And I roll a 1. So my team build for skills is Brawler on the Blood Spawn, which I believe is a mistake. I had 1 Blood Seeker with Pro, and that's because I didn't know what to give him, so I thought I'd give the new Pro a try.
Yeah.
Not sure I'm a fan. I had three Blood Seekers with Block, 1 Corn Gore with Wrestle, 1 Corn Gore with Tackle, 1 Corn Gore with Sure Hands. And then all my linemen, they just had Frenzy. 2 rerolls. So right off the bat, double skulls, can't do nothing about it. And the ball was like kind of next to my guy, and I was like, I'm not going to waste a reroll now because corn, I'm going to need rerolls. What can he do to me? Well, he rolls a 10 with the dice, and then he rolls like a 12. So casualty, Bloodseeker, gone.
Jeez.
So then the next 4 blocks go like this. He hits my guy. Broke the armor, 10. Knocked out. Hits my next guy, breaks the armor with a 10. Knocked out. Hits the next guy, rolls an 11. Stunned. Hits the next guy, rolls like had to be a 10 or 11. I can't remember at this point. But he broke the armor, casualty.
Yeah.
Before I ever had turn 2, it was 7-11 against Dwarves and Griff.
Jesus.
uh,
I don't know anyone else who has that luck besides you, luckily.
Dude, the guy was like, I can't believe these dice. And I said, I tell you what, let's just play with those dice and we'll see if they're just hot. And he said, okay, I'm cool with sharing dice. And let me tell you something. They were hot for him and cold for me, which is fine because we played with the same dice. There's just nothing I could do about it.
Yeah.
He even goes, he's like, dude, you were taking this really well. And I was like, well, thank you. I said, I took my competitive hat off today. And I said, at this point, it happens so fast and it's so crazy that all you can do is laugh about it. And I tried to fight him. I did what I could. And you can't do much when you have 7 guys or less on the field. And that's how the game was. He beat me 3-0. He maybe could have beat me at one point. I was like, you can keep scoring, and if you want to like knock everybody off the pitch, you can to get bonus points because there's 16 people here with only 3 rounds. There's going to be 2 undefeateds if there's no ties.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know. I'm a little worried. I saw you play yesterday, and you're a pretty good coach, so I'm going to play this safe. And I'm like, okay. So much respect. Thank you, Jake, for being nice. Instead of pushing it too much because you could have beat me 4 or 5-0. But anyways, he beat me 3-0. We go on to the next round. Next round, I play. Who did I play? It was such a blur. Oh my God, I can't believe I'm. Oh, I know. It's not a blur. I played the Thick Bear himself, William Toops, who had Chaos Dwarves. And evidently, I guess we have a rivalry that I don't know about because William Toops was so excited to finally get to play me. And he's been wanting a chance to get a chance to beat me and all this stuff. So, like,
it's funny. Scott mentioned this before, and I brought up the fact that, we do a podcast. People either think we're good at Blood Bowl or they at least want to play us because, notoriety and, it's kind of cool to play the guy from the podcast. And we get it because we'd been there the first time we played Extreme or Johnny or Chance.
I still do that when I play like Tim Lyons and stuff like that.
Exactly. But I always think of not Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, the movie with M. Bison, when I think it's Chun-Li because it's been so long since I've seen the movie, talks about how she remembers the day that M. Bison came to town and destroyed her, killed her father and all this. And M. Bison just goes, for you, the day I came to town was the worst day of your life. To me, it was a Tuesday. And like, it's true. I'm like, these games mean a lot to people, and I'm not trying to downgrade it that they don't. I don't remember games. Like, I played a game 2 days ago. That'll be out of my head in about 3 days.
I know me and William Toops had some good games. I couldn't tell you what our records were.
Right.
But anyway, so we played a matchup. We had a good little game here. He immediately started taking guys off the pitch again. I mean, that was the theme, is I was always behind. Before I even got a turn, I was down men. Yeah. Same thing, same scenario. I think I was down to 9 men. I think it was 9-11 before I had my first turn because he got the ball. He was stalling, and I kept telling him, I was like, brother, don't you stall on me. I said, you need to score while you can. And he's like, oh, no, and all this stuff. So I did crazy stuff at this point. I was out of rerolls. My team was down. I had nothing to lose.
I think that's what a lot of people don't realize when it comes to tournaments is these players mean nothing. It's like the Russian army. You're just throwing them at people and hoping something happens. And if it doesn't happen good, whatever.
So eventually I worked the guy down the field, and he had 2 tackle zones on me. Well, I stood up. I dodged through one tackle zone, I dodged through two tackle zones, then dodged through one tackle zone, and then got to the open space and then went for it, and then went for it again, or rushing. I rushed for it twice, and I got to his ball carrier, and I said, I'm gonna nail him, and boom, I nailed him. And I was like, now that ball's gonna go out of bounds and get thrown all the way upfield where all my guys are, where I had the one guy down there by the end zone, and then I had my only other five guys up on the other side of the field. And sure enough, it rolled a 5, which went that far direction, and then it went 11. And I called it. I told him, I said, it's at least going 10. And he was sweating bullets at this time. And it threw it right to where my guys were. And so I made a small pocket of my, 5 guys, and I started trucking down the field. Well, those bull centaurs are just too much, and a full team of Chaos Dwarves is too much. I got within striking distance, but he tackled me every time. And then at the end of the half, I had one opportunity to go pick up the ball in a tackle zone and then dodge out. And of course, I failed. I didn't have any rerolls. Jeez. Then so we're at 0-0, and he's like sweating bullets because I don't have any players. I'm down men like crazy. He should have just scored. He was kicking himself. And then the second half started, and I shot a guy out to like catch a pass, and he goes, I know what you're doing. You're trying to lure me over here to like distract me. And I was like, whatever. And
maybe I am, maybe I'm not.
Long story short, I basically did what Jake did to me the other day, but William marked the guy, and I was like, this is my only chance to score. There's nobody else on that side of the field except that one guy who's marking my player. All I got to do is throw the ball down there, catch it, run in, and then I go up 1-0. And of course, William's going to trot down the field and he's going to score, but maybe I can hold off a 1-1 tie.
Yeah.
So he had one of his guys on top of me, so I had to like break away. And of course, I rolled a 1. I think no, that's not true. I shot a guy around the corner, just a regular marauder, to blitz that character off of my that player off my guy that was kind of in the open, and I rolled a 1 going for it the one time to hit him, and so I had to eat 1 reroll then. And by this time, I'm committed to trying to score because this is my best chance. Otherwise, he's just going to swallow me up.
Yeah.
And then I go around the corner, and all I had to do is make this little crappy little pass. I rolled bad enough where both times it's just an incomplete pass. The ball's right next to me. Then he just starts swarming me. And then, long story short, he stalls out. I still dodge through a million tackle zones and things. And it's like starting to, I think, kind of really annoy him because like it shouldn't work. But I started becoming like cocky Scott. Like, I need a 4, so I'm gonna roll a 5, and boom, I'd hit the number. Like, 1 out of 6 chance of guessing right.
Yeah, of course.
At one point, he goes, you need a 5, and I was like, oh yeah, no problem. Roll the 5. I go dodging through here, and he's like, what? That you need a 6? And I was like, I'm gonna nail it. Boom, I nailed it. Need a 4. Boom, nailed it. And then of course every time it would be like the simple things, like the rush or whatever that I'd roll a 1 on, but I made him work for it, and I got my ass handed to me in that game. Took a break for lunch. We did the same thing. We had a small. We had a roast beef sandwich, and then we had ice cream. So
there's a Rusty's here. You don't have to go Hoggo while you're out there.
Rusty's. It's an Andy's.
Andy's. That's what I meant.
You know the difference, though, Steve? It was less than a mile from the game shop. And if I want Andy's here, I have to drive every bit of 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's a very different experience. I'll give you that.
Right. Game 3, I played Terry Harms, a Blood Bowler from the Nebraska area. He had the new Norse team. So it was Norse versus Korn, and I believe. No, I got the ball first. I kind of stalled out the whole half the best I could. He got to my ball carrier, knocked me down like 3 spaces away from my end zone, but things just worked out where nobody picked up the ball, and then I blitzed a guy off. I picked up the ball, ran in on my turn 8.
Yeah.
And then the second half, Um, he had a kind of a breakthrough where I can't remember what really happened, but there was a momentum shift. He got down where he could stall if he wanted to, and on turn 5, I was putting pressure on him. Same thing I was doing with William. I was dodging through stuff, just trying to get people there. And I would have got shots on his ball carrier. He went ahead and scored on turn 5 to make sure he could score.
Yeah.
And then I had 3 plays to kind of work the field with Corn. I lost like 1 player to a casualty and 1 to a knockout, and the knockout guy recovered. That was another thing. My knockouts weren't recovering at all this day. But in that game against Terry, everything worked out and I ended up winning. Same scenario though. I get really close to the end zone. He tackles me like a shoestring tackle, and then I had to have somebody else come in, pick up the ball, and run into the end zone.
Yeah.
With a go for it. So I won 2-1 on my last turn. So the Brimstone Demons went 1-2. And my God, I hate Corn.
As I say, I think the key takeaway here is you didn't get the spoon.
I did not get the spoon. And
You were
surprisingly,
so worried about that.
well, me and Terry was on the last table. And to all our information we had, we were dead last. Like, here's my points. You get 10 points for a loss.
Yeah.
You get 3 points for finishing on time. Well, I had 13 points the first round. The second round, I got 2 more points because I kept it close because there's only 1-0. I had 15 points. So I had a total of 28 points. Terry also had 28 points. Same results. Like he rolled like 10 double skulls throughout the day. Like, and most of them through those first 2 matches he had. He got so mad at his dice, he gave them to somebody.
God.
He's like, I'm done with these dice. F these dice. And they were the new Norse dice too.
Oh, wow.
We were both on the dead last table. And so there must have been somebody else who was 0-2 because whoever got me or him didn't get the wooden spoon. Somebody else did because he had 2 less points than Terry did. So by me and Terry having a close game, it gave Terry 2 points and prevented him from getting the wooden spoon. We were both very happy.
Yeah, I would guess that's a good thing.
I did not want it. I mean, it looked cool, but I didn't want it. And I was really scared if I had another game like I did on round 1 or 2 where people just get blew up. I mean, I would have earned a spoon, and I said I would never win one of those ever in my life.
I mean, it's going to happen eventually.
No, it can't.
You could.
Don't say that, Steve.
I mean,
I really thought,
won't.
since I knew I was in the running for not getting anything, I was like, I could drop out because Brendan's playing. He's the odd man out, and I could get a 3-hour
guarantee that you're not going to get it.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
but I didn't. I mean, I could have got back sooner.
That's true.
Look, I thought it, but I didn't do it. You think of a lot of things
Mm-hmm.
that you don't end up doing.
There's a lot of people who are still alive.
Yeah, so I don't know where I finished out of those 16 people, but it wasn't dead last. Thank God.
Well, that's good.
But Corn,
Yes.
having that much frenzy sucks. I mean, obviously, I ran into some really bad luck with just dice getting diced, but I don't know if this makes them too powerful or not. But I think just having those linemen, if they just had 9 armor instead of 8, that might help.
Yeah, but 8's still good.
No, it's not. It's like having 7 back in the day.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yes.
Yeah, if it was a 9 plus
8
instead
plus.
of the 8 plus.
You
Yeah,
didn't
it's
say
an
8 plus. You said 8.
Okay, I'm sorry.
But yeah, you're right. It is a big difference.
Brawler is really bad for like the blitzy characters because you can't roll a boat down. You can't re-roll your boat down if you're blitzing.
Did not know that.
I've kind of forgot until it happened, and then I was like, "Oh yeah, wait a second, we should double check this." And we checked it, and I was like, "Yeah, you can't do that." Pro, I'm so used to the old Pro where you could re-roll all the dice. It's only 1 die.
Yeah.
So that
I mean,
kind of really sucks.
That kind of makes it sort of better for big guys. Not better than what it was, but more suited for big guys because you can try to re-roll the activation roll because that's only one die.
Yeah, but the bad thing is for big guys, it's still a general skill, so it's going to cost secondary.
No, I
I mean,
mean
like,
you're right. I mean it.
I don't know how that's even better, Steve. Your logic there
No,
is.
I'm saying it's more suited. That's what I'm saying. It's not better.
Oh,
It is
okay.
now more suited for a big guy
Oh, I
because it's
got you.
only one die. There's not many times you want to re-roll only one die,
I got you.
unless it's a dodge or. But typically if you want that, you take dodge.
Everybody liked the team. They thought that was cool. I had a cool looking team that I borrowed from you.
It's a good, nice looking team.
Who painted that? Was that Thor?
That is Thor. Speaking of, they are doing Threadball again, as always. So, believe we have a
Well,
shout out for
shout out.
that.
So. Okay. Anyways, so that wraps up. We hit the car. We came home. We got home about 10 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
That's not bad.
So, I was thinking after day one, I only played 3 rounds, and I thought, oh, this doesn't feel as tiring. And, this is not going to feel as tiring as like Chaos Cup when you play 6 games. Day one felt like a half day, like it was only a half day tournament,
Yeah.
not even a full day. Day 2 felt like about 3 days. So I was dead tired. Almost just like coming back from Chaos Cup.
Now, was it because of the team you're playing and how poorly you did?
Oh, I might have been. But the truth is my game 1 lasted like an hour and 10 minutes. My game 2 lasted like an hour and 25 minutes.
Did your day 1 games go the full time every time?
No, I finished everything on time, surprisingly.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like, but did it take the full time instead of like...
Maybe.
Because if you have an extra hour every game, it kind of does drag.
That's true. I mean, yeah, we finished up and checked the clock, and there was 7 minutes left or something like that. So
that's a big difference.
So maybe it was that. Yeah, there was times that I couldn't even go talk to people because I'd bug them because I was done so early.
How are you doing? I don't know. We haven't got to the second half yet. Oh, okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Anyways, Joe Smith, he came by and he's like, dude, you talk about this on your podcast. And I'm seeing it live. I'm seeing it live happen, all these armor breaks. I'm like,
yeah. I don't know anyone who can take that many casualties and knockouts in the first hit every single time.
Yeah. I mean, you never hear Brian 2 saying, oh, man, he peeled 4 guys off the pitch before I had a second turn.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't, it's not like I'm giving him any more hits than Brian would.
It might have happened to him, but yeah.
Yeah. He needs a podcast so we can hear about that.
Don't give him ideas.
Anyways, overall, Brendan Smith and Joe Smith, they ran a good event. The second day I won. I almost took a paint set. But one of the guys really wanted that bad. He got drawn right after me.
Yeah.
So I was just like, if you really need it that bad, then you can have it. And I take a Dark Elf team. So I got a Dark Elf team and a 7s pitch. So.
Oh, you can put together the Dark Elf team? Because everyone loves doing that.
I heard it's awful, but I also thought like if we play Dungeon Bowl, I'll have some minis.
Oh, that's true.
But who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
Or it goes in the prize pool for an Oklahoma Bowl.
That's true too. Yeah, I don't know how the Dungeon Bowl, we do have that lined up to happen after our season ends. And just putting together a Dungeon Bowl team does not sound fun.
I'm probably not going to do it.
Cobble stuff together. Yeah.
I think I'm going to cobble stuff together to see if we even like it. And that's kind of the purpose of running a little season.
Yeah.
But anyways, had a good time in Springfield. Tired, came back. Luckily, we had the whole day to just kind of rest and recover, and I'm still freaking tired.
So, what's your opinion on 2 one-day tournaments as a player versus someone running it? Because I didn't mind it because we weren't the first ones to do it. I don't think, but we're one of the most consistent ones, at least that I know of. I'm sure they've had one going for 20 years in Europe somewhere that we're just not aware of. But at least in America, I don't know that we ever had any anyone doing 2 one-day tournaments until us
Right.
for the same weekend. And now they're doing it, and I think Florida's doing one, and it seems to be more popular. So, what is your opinion?
Night and day. I like that better than the 6th round tournaments. But when you have 100 people show up for a Chaos Cup, you got to do 6
Oh no,
rounds.
you have to, but yeah.
But it's just nice to have something fresh that you can start off with. Jake Seeley, the guy who had Griffin Dwarves, he won first place for that second tournament, Mystery Bowl 2. So, and then Michael Lewis got casualties, but those are the only 2 rewards I can remember.
Who got the best sport?
Michael Lewis.
There you go.
Yeah,
As always.
I couldn't been better behaved that tournament. So, which just proves I'm never, ever, ever going to get most best sport
Well, you remember how I got mine, right?
by default.
Well, no. Unless that's a different tournament, maybe. No, it was
Oh,
the
that's
one
where
in
you're helping
Texas where I
somebody.
helped 2 people beat me, and one of my guys had to leave for an emergency. So I was like, okay, I'll take it.
Well, that's all right. I can't argue with Michael Lewis always winning one because he's just a more gentle soul than me, and I'm very jealous that I don't have what he has, and that's okay. I
Well,
have stuff he doesn't have. Anger.
yeah, crippling jealousy.
Jealousy. Um, so my thoughts are is like I know Corn's supposed to be a lower tier team and very challenging. Would I play them again? Maybe, but I don't want to. I just don't want to. But surely I wouldn't have that bad of luck playing them again with all the armor breaks. But who knows? Um, I I feel like the Marauder lineman should have 1 more point higher armor. Maybe that would make me
Yeah,
change my mind.
that would help a lot because I forget that they're now 8 plus.
Dwarves and Griff, even though I won 1 game and tied 2, is pretty messed up. I still think Griff is very, very good for his value. So, we'll see if that eventually gets changed or not. I do still hate, and if GW's listening, listen well. There should be no player with they're just unable to throw a ball or a bomb or whatever.
Yeah,
Now I'm fine with everything being a 6.
yeah,
I'm totally get that. I'm fine with the skill that you have to roll before you decide if you want to throw. Maybe like,
or a
you can't use
character that
frenzy.
if you don't want them to throw, they have no hands because then they can't hold the ball.
I mean, yeah, it was frustrating in that goblin game to catch the ball and not catch the bomb and do nothing about it. But here's my main complaint. You take, I've said this before, you take away the biggest play in Blood Bowl. It's a 2-1 game. The guy has 1 turn left. He's on the other side of the field.
Yeah,
And his only chance is to throw a bomb and maybe hand off to somebody and then throw a bomb. And maybe for the necro guy, his werewolves are hurt. And so his ghouls are hurt. So
yeah.
they have to throw a bomb from a zombie to a zombie or to a flesh golem.
And it
And in the
happened
old
like
way,
1 out of 50 matches, if that.
yeah. But in the old way, you could, got to pick up on a 5. Ooh, well, here's a bomb. It's -3. I need a 6. Holy crap, I got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, well, he's in a tackle zone. I need a 6. Holy crap, I got it.
Yep.
All these things Blood
Then
Bowl doesn't have anymore because, it has, but not as many of them because they've taken away this, you don't have a passing skill.
yeah,
And that just makes me upset. And other people agreed with me, but of course we're not, what can we do about it? They don't
yeah. I
ask.
mean, they don't really care about us. So, well,
I
I mean, they
also,
do care about us since they sent us stuff to review.
yeah. Anyways, that's my opinion on stuff. It was nice. You asked like, how does it feel?
Yeah,
It was great not running a tournament and just being a guy.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me a question, and I said, "Don't ask me, ask the TO." And it was great. It was great just going to be a dude instead of running the event.
A dude,
So
not the dude.
yeah, just a dude. I'm not the dude. But anyways, so overall this weekend I went 2-2-2, and got some trophy and some hardware. So that was cool.
That's good.
I was disappointed with my record with Griffin Dwarves because I expected to get 2 wins. And
I always think Harry Potter when you say that. 10 points for Griffin Dwarves.
yeah, and really, I thought the demons could maybe pull off a tie here or there, but yeah, oh well. Good time, still had fun,
Yep, and no spoon.
and no spoon. And I got demons off my. I played them. I'm done. Now I just have to play Old World Alliance and some nobility.
Shouldn't be an issue.
No, not with as many tournaments coming up. So, all right, we've talked enough here. So let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about Horus Heresy.
Okay, welcome back again. And now we're going to be talking about not a sponsored content, but GW was kind enough to send us out a review copy of Warhammer the Horus Heresy. It's the
Age
new
of Darkness.
Age of Darkness, the new box set, along with the 2 new books. Was the Loyalist Legions Astartes Army book and the Traitor Legionnaires Astartes Army book. And yes, we're going to purchase all these because we don't play the game, but still, it's awesome.
So, looking at the rule book here, it says Warhammer the Horus Heresy, night falls on the golden age of humanity. Sons shall turn upon their father, and his worlds drowned in blood. The eye shall open, and the galaxy will burn. And then in
You know,
this
your
little,
typical Friday night.
yeah, and this kind of sums up, I guess, what this the Horus Heresy is, because I've heard of this, but I'll be honest, I don't know much about it at all. And this Age of Darkness stuff with this box set. So the Horus Heresy is reckoned by many to rate as the greatest single disaster ever suffered by the Imperium. The specific details of the heresy are known only to the Emperor, but its broader history is the stuff of popular legend. According to one version of the tale, Horus was once the most trusted servant of the Emperor, but in his heart there dwelt an hidden evil, and he became seduced by this evil and came to nurture hidden demons and other forces of destruction. Horus marched upon Earth with a third part of the hosts of the Imperium, which he had seduced to his purpose. For 7 days and 7 nights the hosts battled until the Emperor caught Horus by the heel and cast him in the Eye of Terror, and with him the third part of the hosts of the Imperium. This is an excerpt from the first book of the Astronomicon.
That was an awesome name, though.
Um,
And for the back of the box, to put it in more layman's term, Warhammer, the Horus Heresy, Age of Darkness, is an exciting tabletop game for 2 or more players. Take control of the Loyalist armies of the Imperium or the traitor forces of Horus, assembling an army of finely detailed Citadel miniatures to play out the pivotal battles of the war. This set is designed to give you everything you need to get started in the Warhammer the Horus Heresy hobby, including the core rules of the game, as well as miniatures, dice, and templates, and is the perfect place to delve into the Age of Darkness.
so, assuming I know what I'm talking about, and for the record, we don't know what we're talking about.
Not a clue.
We opened the box, we went through the books. There is a million sprues in this box.
It is insane. It is packed. It says 54 models, or miniatures, doesn't say models. Contents are the rule book, 2 rules reference sheets, 20 6-sided dice and 1 scattered dice, templates, measuring sticks, transfer sheets, 54 miniatures, 2 Legion Praetors, 40 tactical marines in MKV1 power armor, 10 Cataphracti Terminators, 1 Contemptor Dreadnought, and 1 Spartan assault tank. So there's a freaking tank in here.
And as Steve said before we even started podcasting, he said, "You tell me where the tank is here on these sprues."
I took a photo as I like to do whenever we have a box and we're opening it. I take a photo, I take out a layer, take a photo, take out a layer, take a photo, take out a layer. There's so many sprues. And no, you cannot see many tank parts. I'm sure they're there, but I did not see them.
Yeah, there's a lot. Um, anyways, a lot of gray plastic in here. I didn't when I looked through. I didn't look through the sprues as much as you. It's all gray, right? So you couldn't build this and say
Yeah.
I'm the blue plastic. Okay, that's all I saw was
No,
the
it's all
gray
the same
too.
color.
Okay, so I'm gonna say as a pure, like, honestly, if you're buying this, you're gonna paint it probably.
Yeah,
But
this
if
is
I was if I was 12 years old and I wanted to buy this because it's a box set, I sure wish they would have done the plastic armies in two different colors, just like they do with Blood Bowl.
yeah, but I'm sure the sprues intermingle, so they probably can't do that.
Maybe so.
And this is definitely not geared towards people like us. We are not the big miniature maker people that would need to do
That's true.
this. We don't paint. We don't, make miniatures. So
I'm assuming with the branding of this being the Horus Heresy box set, Age
yeah.
of Darkness, and these really nice hardcover books, that this is for the more serious players for
Oh
sure.
yeah, and they are
Um,
awesome.
this It is a hardcover book. There is, I believe, 148 pages of fluff before they ever get to the this is the rules. So it goes through all the different like chapters of legionnaires and stuff, all the way up to like here's like the 23rd one. Here's the 29th, or I'm sorry, the 19th,
Yeah.
the 20th. I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. I'm trying to find the first page of and it has a cool timeline, which I actually like this, and that's why I asked to take this book home so I could read this little timeline thing of like the history of all this stuff
Right.
in the galaxy at war. Now it has in the middle, kind of in the middle here, it has the big Imperium map, and the reason this interests me is because recently, let's say not too recent, the core rules start on page 146. And the book is every bit of 330 plus pages, looks like.
Yeah.
Um, there's an old board game based off the talisman system called Relic, where you're space marines and other people from the Warhammer universe, and you're playing a board game and walking around and trying to level up and get to the center of the board. And it's not like a great game, but for some reason it's a fun game. So I cannot recommend you to go out and buying it, but at the same time, if you play it, you're probably going to love it. It's one of those games. So I've always been a fan of all this stuff, but I've never had the money really to get into all this stuff.
So speaking
Makes sense.
of the money,
So I like the lure,
yeah.
but I don't like buying all this stuff. So
So yeah, it looks like, and take it for what it's worth, but a couple of websites have said that they have found the true cost of everything. And if you order from online, you also get a cool. Um, if you order the set directly from Games Workshop web store, you'll bag yourself an exclusive reaction token and card set. That means 8 metal tokens and a deck of 8 cards to keep track of the game, 6 reactions, and 2 advanced reactions.
that's
So
cool. So
those are pretty cool. But this box set, take a guess how much?
based off the golly, it's got to be every bit of 200. So I'm gonna say 225.
Well,
No.
225 euros, which comes out to 299 American.
Ooh.
And each of the books, $70
I
American.
believe that. Those books are Here's the deal. These books are beautifully designed.
Oh,
It looks like old
freaking yeah.
parchment paper. Some of these old black and white, like they look like old black and white images and stuff.
Yeah.
The finish on these, beautiful. And there's nothing wrong with the Blood Bowl stuff, but you definitely can see that they take more time on the graphic design and the style of the Warhammer products
Yeah, I
for sure.
mean, also they cost twice as much.
Well, I understand that. I'm not complaining.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
saying,
But
like,
yeah, it's definitely a different aesthetic too,
you
because
can definitely tell that this is their moneymaker. Let's
Blood
put it
Bowl
that way.
also is more of a cartoony thing, because you can look at the covers and it's definitely a
That's true.
cartoonish style,
That's true. This
whereas
is all
this is
dark stuff.
very realistic. As much as high, I guess this wouldn't be high fantasy. What would this be? Space fantasy?
Sci-fi fantasy.
Future
That's how I
fantasy?
take it.
Sci-fi fantasy? Yeah. I guess it is just straight for sci-fi. There's no fantasy. Well, I don't know. There's gods and stuff. Whatever.
Well, what's interesting is like recently, me and Jennifer played Relic, and there's an expansion called the Halls of Terra, and I was like, I never put two and two to. I put two and two together based off the Blood Bowl fluff that like in the old world is planet Earth, but to
Yeah.
me that is never associated with the same thing. So I don't know why I didn't like put two and two together with the Warhammer stuff, even though it says like the Blood Bowl stuff years and years after the Warhammer the 40K stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, doesn't matter. Just in Relic, they started mentioning Terra. In these books, it talks about Earth, Terra all the time. It talks about Mars. So it's just interesting that it's like happening like kind of in our part of the galaxy where most of the time if you talk about Warhammer, I never think about that, especially Warhammer 40K. And Marvel did some 40K comics recently, the Sisters of Battle or whatever, and some Space Marine books. And I read those and actually quite enjoyed them. So I enjoyed like the lore stuff and all the aesthetics of this. I have, Chaos in the Old World Warhammer board game. I have Forbidden Stars, which is a 40K board game, and then I have Relics. So
You used to have the
I'm
role-playing game too.
yeah, I used to have I still have the second edition or the first edition of the role playing
Oh,
game.
okay.
I got rid of the like second or third edition that came out, 10, 15 years ago. So, but yes, I still have that too. So I've always kind of like really wanted to jump in, but really, I think it's just been money and the fact that, maybe if Blood Bowl never existed, I probably would be playing this stuff because I just like it.
Yeah.
The Blood Bowl, I like sports and the fantasy aspect. So therefore, I think that's what beat all this stuff out. But as a kid, I wanted Space Hulk and all those kind of board games too. So this is beautiful. Is it worth $300? I think that's unfair for me to say,
Yeah,
since
we can't
I
really speak to that because
yeah I don't know
I don't
the
54 models if each one's $6. I mean, that's alone worth it, not including the book, which is
the
another
book the
70.
books are they're pretty impressive.
Yeah.
They're pretty dang impressive. Maybe we could get a Blood Bowl book that's like one of these books that has no typos in it and no errata, and we just put everything in one book, so I don't have to
See,
take four
and
books.
that's also kind of another thing is where we don't have a good understanding of this game, we can't say like do you have to take the core rule book and the other rule book with you or is just one good? Do they have a ton of errata or do they put more emphasis on making sure it's done right the first time? We don't know,
Yeah,
not our game.
yeah. I don't have a
And
clue.
I mean, yeah, it would be cool if someone could teach us this and we played it, but there's just no time and money to really get into that hobby. We played more time for a little bit. Was it more time?
Yeah, there's more time.
Yeah, it was. Um, and that was fun. Sarge did all of the background stuff and he made the story, but still we didn't find time to play that. And that was just, quick skirmish games of like an hour or two.
Right.
And it was,
Uh,
your squad or whatever it was only had maybe 7 to 10 people. So huge difference.
I mean, I think that's always been a little bit intimidating with Warhammer is that I have to buy. I don't really like painting, and you're telling me I need an army of 25 guys or 30 guys or build a tank and paint it.
Mm-hmm.
But to tell you what, they look really cool when they're out there. So, anyways, I don't. Besides BSing about it, I don't have anything else to say. I mean, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
There's a ton of fluff though here. So if you're into the Warhammer fluff if you care about that. Although probably the Warhammer people have heard the same story 100 times, kind of like us Blood Bowl guys.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, there's a lot of stuff with each little chapter, and it goes through insignias and stuff that's on the armor. And I, as a novice, I think that's pretty cool to kind of look at. So
It's definitely cool, and it's one of these things like we are on the periphery of an entire fandom that could easily swallow us whole, but we
for
have
sure.
other devotions.
Well, I think the map is really cool too, because just like the Blood Bowl maps and stuff of the old world, I like seeing that galaxy thing because it's like I said, it goes through those board games that I play, which is Relic, Forbidden Stars. So I think that's cool to see, like, oh, this is a planet from Forbidden Stars where the orcs are from, and
Mm-hmm.
blah blah blah. Other than that, GW always makes good miniatures, so I can't really complain.
No,
I kind of will complain. How come all these little space marines are on 2 feet? Like they're kind of walking
that's true.
and they're on 2 feet.
Yeah, but they're not meant to be dynamic, and they probably weigh 7 tons.
All these little guys, they have
So
guns and they're pointing
let's
and
t-
they're on rocks.
let's tie this into Blood Bowl, shall we?
Uh huh. Oh, we could make a Blood
54
Bowl.
figures, right?
Uh huh.
How many figures in a box?
For Blood Bowl,
Yeah,
12 to 14.
so let's say 12.
Okay.
So we're talking 4 teams.
Hmm.
So if they put out a Blood Bowl Lost Lustria or something, and it came with a Lizard Man team and an Amazon team and a Sea Elf team and some other new race or whatever, and it had
Of course, we'd pay $200,
would
$300
we
for
pay
it.
$300 for it?
We
Yeah,
would, even though we wouldn't maybe like paying it.
and but I mean, if each team's $50, right? And then you
Yeah.
got a fancy rule book and probably a pitch and dice and maybe individual dice for each team. You can see where the money is. I mean, it's a value. I assume this is the same.
Well, let's not kid ourselves. They're making money off this product.
Well, of course, but I'm just saying, like, it's comparable if we did that.
Oh, yeah, with the current state of everything,
Yeah,
sure.
that was all. I was
Uh,
just curious.
yeah, it's neat. I mean, I know these army factions are supposed to be like, and they're painted in the pictures here. They're yellow and like a greenish gray, and I know they sync up with the storyline, but I don't like those colors. But I'd be the weirdo that has like Space Marines painted weird. But anyway, I still think this is really cool. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, I believe that's all we have to say about that. So we can.
Maybe this is the game we break out and play, Steve. Because when we were in Springfield, Gary looked at a box set and he said, wouldn't it be kind of fun to just buy one of these and just play with the armies in there? You think that'd be enough and all this stuff? And I'm like, dude, those rule books are so dense that I don't know if I could handle it.
Yeah, we'd have to have Gary or someone put it together and paint it, and then have someone else teach us the basis of the game, and then we dig into the new expansion and the new rules and the new etc. etc.
All right, so this one's for our listeners. I was about to say viewers because they're not watching us. Our listeners. So this Horus Heresy Age of Darkness box set's $300. It comes with 54 miniatures. I assume the armies are at least close. It's 25 to 27 or something like that. How many more units do you have to have for a normal game of Warhammer 40K? And now I know there's different versions of it. So if you have the knowledge, send us an email and break it down. Like, oh, if you wanted to use this for Kill Team, you would need, only 12
So
models. And if you need this for the campaign, you need this. And really,
I'm not
you
trying to
need
put
double.
I'm not trying to put a kibosh on it, but do you really care? Are you going to read the emails?
I
Because
mean, I
we
will when you
could.
tell me we have emails.
Okay, I was gonna say we could just research it ourselves, but yes, if someone would like to dummy it down for us, that's really what we need.
Oh
Is
yeah, I don't need like super details. Just like like, oh, this would give you a half an army. This is something good to start off with, but you need about 3 more units or something. You're going to
That's
spend
what
another $150.
that would be an interesting video series. Someone get with me on that. I'll take the credit and half the profit, and you can do it all. But we could do a Blood Bowl, a 40K for Blood Bowl players video, a Blood Bowl for 40K player video, a Horus Heresy for Blood Bowl players, etc., etc. And
Yeah, you do that. You get with somebody and you can have fun with that.
like I said, I mean, they can do it all. I'll give the idea, but that way they could kind of put it into terms that we understand.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, well,
All right. That's
believe
all
we
we
have
got.
talked it to death.
If you are convinced that you need this, you can go order this right now. That's why this podcast is dropping a little bit later.
Yep, it does release today. And like I said, if you go on the website, you will get those extra stuff. Go into the announcer voice. But yeah, thanks to GW for sending it to us, and we will make sure it gets to a happy home. It may stick around until next Oklahoma Bowl, but, or I mean, I guess we have a tournament coming up in November, so we shall see.
Yep. All right. We'll be back with some shout outs.
It's the end of another podcast, successfully done and quietly leading off into the night, except for
Shout out!
we're becoming 3-die block with that.
Yeah.
Leading into it. All right, well, yeah, we do actually have some shout outs. First off, GW, again, thanks for sending us the review copies of everything. Hopefully, we see more Blood Bowl stuff soon. That'd be nice.
Yeah. But still, it's cool. I mean, it's cool that they trust us with this.
Oh, absolutely.
Stuff like that. I mean, it's actually really nice to see how they produce other things. And again, the rule book's pretty damn amazing.
Yeah.
It's
We did have a couple shout out requests from, tournaments that have already passed. So I probably won't give a shout out to Grant and his tournament since we can't go to it.
Yeah, we won't talk about Brewhouse Bash. We won't talk about Khmer Cup because
Nope.
they're already passed.
However, Patrick Morrissey is doing Cornesis Open. It's probably Cornesis. It's basically it's in Overland Park, Kansas. So
yeah. When is that?
Cornesis. It's July 16th.
July 16th. That's 1 week from Chaos Cup. And I
What?
did some research. It looks like they're using the same rules as Chaos Cup.
Wait, what do you mean it's 1 week from Chaos Cup?
Oh, not July. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
There is a tournament up in Kansas City area. I think Aaron Franklin's doing it. That is 1 week before Chaos Cup. They have a tournament, and they have the same rule set as Chaos Cup. Which, if nobody's looked, Chaos Cup rules are very different this year. Instead of saying you get 150K to buy skills, they're giving you SPPs. So like you get 42 or you get 54 or you get 66. And he's doing a tier system. So,
yeah, we need to get Jeff on to talk about that because I have
yeah,
no
we
clue.
do, because at first I saw this and I was like, I don't like this at all. And then after thinking about it, I'm still not sure what I think because I don't really like tiers.
Yeah.
And yet,
I don't know.
Put a pin in it
and it's getting closer than God. I can't believe it's June.
Dude, we're getting old, so time just goes by really fast.
It really does.
It goes by really fast when you're at the end, Steve.
Oh, awesome. This will be over soon.
Yeah.
Also, we have a tournament. The 17th Thread Ball event is going to be run over the weekend of the 6th and 7th of August. It's now one of UK's largest independent Blood Bowl tournaments and Europe's largest charity tournament, with all 130 tickets selling out in just over 24 hours. Wow. And these guys do amazing work. Thor, Gareth, everyone, the whole Squad Chaos group, everyone who's involved with this has always done amazing work. One of these days, would love to make it. They always have just a ton of people sending stuff. They send us stuff to give out. But I'm assuming there's probably a standby list. You can just go Threadball and look at the website maybe. We need to be sending them some stuff to give away, which I forgot about, but we'll be doing that shortly.
Okay. Back to Patrick Morrissey's tournament.
Oh
It's a
yeah,
3-run tournament up there in the Kansas City area. Yeah, it is called. Looks like Cornesis.
yeah,
I
but
hope I'm
it's
saying that.
Kansas.
Oh, like
Cornas,
Cornesis
yeah.
Open.
That's
Anyways,
that's why I
it's
was having a
a corn.
hard time with it.
It is a corn themed Kansas City
So
tournament, and I will.
Scott's
If
gonna
I go,
go.
I'm not playing corn.
Sure you are.
No,
You could
no
take
chance.
Norse and give them all frenzy.
That's okay. Just what I need. A bunch of like drunk guys who could fall down on a 1 or 2 when I'm going for it on my follow up frenzy. No
You
thanks.
did play against the Norse team, right?
Yep.
What'd you think about them?
Um.
Or
Wow,
do
we're
we
gonna
want to
get off
save
on
that?
that tangent. No, let's save that for Nick. Let's put a pin in that.
Okay.
We'll talk about it in like 10 days.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll bring that up. I was long winded telling my stories as always, so
Yeah.
like we'll bring that up.
Okay.
So
That's fine. I'll make a note of that. We do actually, surprisingly, I looked. Um, we have reviews on iTunes, and
yay.
I feel bad for people who did these because we just didn't look because we hadn't had
Yeah,
one in a long time.
let's hear it.
You might check currently and see if there's any since I last looked. But November 16th of 2021, that's how far behind we are. Um, Darmok and Jalad at Tanangra. And it's
Mhm.
by Merman Hellville, which is an awesome name. I no longer play Blood Bowl, but keep up with the madness of Game Workshop's latest bloating of already complicated rules from these two guys. Always enjoy the recap of tournaments, road trips, and the foods consumed.
Nice.
Yeah. And that's the thing, once you get listening, it's hard to stop. We have one from Violent Snail, February 16th of 22, and the title is Both Down. They Got It Down. There are a lot of Blood Bowl podcasts out there, but really, there's just one. These guys are the top dogs. They've got it down to science. Perfect chemistry, informational, entertaining. Keep up the great work, boys.
Oh man, whose mom put that up there for us?
It's not mine. She's dead, so.
Ooh, can't be Steve. So we eliminated one person out of this equation.
You eliminated her? What?
Uh,
Oh.
that was a long time ago.
Okay, that's true. Man, that'd be weird if you did. I don't know how, but
It would be weird. Would we still be friends if you found out like I killed your mom?
I would. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, like would that change anything?
You would have been. I mean, depends on. I'd
What if it's one
have
of
to
those
say
weird
yes.
things? Like I didn't know you at the time,
Yeah.
and I did it because I used to be a hitman, and then we became friends, and then I realized like, oh crap,
Yeah, but my mom died of her body just shutting down. So you would have to poison her somehow.
that's just
And if
what
you
you think.
did, then
That's what
I mean,
I think.
no, I
Anyway,
mean
we've went on the awkward, weird
that is a
tangent.
weird
So
tangent. Um, so it just completely invalidates his review. And
yeah,
then we've got one from Bill Bassich, February 25th of 2022. The boys are ripping limbs again. You can feel the excitement just listening to these two vets. It's contagious and they have me hooked. They have their finger on the pulse of Blood Bowl, and I love that they are feeling the primal urge again. Blood Bowl rules, and so do Steve and Scott. Thanks for staying with it and looking forward to more fun from the greatest game ever discovered. Thank you, Monk.
that's cool. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's always great to see those reviews, and as I've said before, if you do leave a review, shoot us an email because we are dumb and we do not tend to look at that too often.
Yeah, a little bit of that's true. That's for sure.
I mean, we don't. I mean, just it's kind of the truth of the nature. But yeah, I think we had a slump of Blood Bowl loss of passion, I guess.
You think so?
I know, at least for me, after Brian passing, dealing with that, and then doing Oklahoma Bowl, where did the miniature and everything, and that was so focused on that. And then we didn't get to do another one because of COVID and being stuck in the house and not seeing anybody.
I
Yeah.
do think it's nice getting out. Just so people know, I know every year for the past 3 or 4 years, I've posted like, "Hey, I played all these board games or card games or whatever," and somebody last year said, like, "You've only played 7 games of Blood Bowl." I think that was last year at
Yeah.
least. It wasn't many. Uh, you'll be happy to know that I've almost tripled that number, and we're only going into June as we speak. So
Yeah.
I'm at 20 games of a regular Blood Bowl as we speak, and yeah, it's nice to get out and go to tournaments and see people and stuff like that. So
And the store league's helping too because we're getting out and seeing people and meeting new people and playing them.
yeah,
So
the
it
the,
all
the store
helps.
league's going. The store league's going great. We have another guy who just joined like a week ago, even though there's only 2 months left of the season.
Nice.
And even another person asked maybe about just getting some games in at the tail end here. So,
I feel like
I
at
don't
the
know if
end of
people
the
are going to get burnt out, but right now, I mean, that's like 16, 17 people, which is spectacular for us. So,
yeah, and I feel like we at the end of the season we need to have. I know we're trying to do a what do you call it? Like I guess a
get together
tournament.
yeah.
But I
You're saying we
think
need to have like a good fellowship thing of getting together and just hanging out?
yeah. I mean, have
Oh,
some
yeah.
pizza
Yeah.
and just hang out and
Sure. I agree with you.
like I don't
It,
know
it
we're doing
It is
what.
going well. That's for sure. And I found it funny when I played Jake, the dwarf versus dwarf matchup. It was about I think 2 or 3 turns in, and then somehow podcast or something like that got mentioned, and he's like, "Oh, are you from the podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so he was like, "Oh, that's really cool." Then like he knew who he was playing and who he was against and stuff. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
It still blows my brain that people care, but at the same time, that's cool. So
Oh yeah.
I care about the other podcasts, so
We
I'm the
really.
same way.
I mean, at this point of the podcast, we should probably see if TJ is listening, since he has been, you know,
TJ Jackson?
in his mind, instrumental in Jennifer coming back and playing the game.
Yeah, I think somebody's crushing on my girl pretty hard. That's okay.
Maybe.
That's okay. I'll take it as a compliment.
I mean, he's got cool Dragon Ball shirts like you do, so.
He is, and he's skinnier than me. So, I mean, and younger, and probably has a better job. So, Jennifer, just go after TJ. It's fine. Everything ends anyways.
That's true. Speaking of ending, that's a nice segue to the ending of the podcast.
That's right. I'm tired.
And I'm Steve.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
You can follow Both Down on Twitter at Both Down. You can follow Scott at
Real Scott Prime.
and Steve at Kilowog2814. If you'd like to email them, the email address is bothdownpodcasts@gmail.com. Or for more information, you can visit them at bothdown.com or at facebook.com/bothdown.
You have sullied your hands with filthy parchments of heresy, guardsman. How do you plead?
What? No.
Too late, heretic.
You inspire your men to study such foul smut, Commissar? You heretic!
Detestable mutants fill your heads with such vile obscenity! Die, heretic! Maybe just one read.
Sister, I need your blood to be... Oh, hold on. You're a heretic! You know what? They're just running around shooting each other down there. Better just lay the exterminatus upon these heretics. All right,